Hello everyone. Today I'm so happy to have Antonio Magdaleno with me. And I have read his letter of disassociation in a previous video. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to do so. But today we are going to hear his story from his own mouth. And Antonio has been an elder, was an elder for 10
Okay,
years. It is an honor. Thank you very
thanks.
much, Antonio, for taking the time to talk with me today for my viewers. Also, very quickly, I want to mention that Antonio has translated some of my articles from English into Portuguese. So it's an honor to have my articles read by Portuguese ex Jehovah's Witnesses, which is great because I can reach more people this way as well. So, to start with, Antonio, how did you become a Jehovah's Witness?
Well, a long time ago, my mother started to study with the witness at a time that she was very depressed. Um, she was very, very emotional, low, and she was thinking in suicide. Then Jehovah's Witness knocked on the door, told to her the hope of paradise and the hope of a better future, make her believe on the message of the witness, and she starts studying with them. But she didn't baptize sooner. She baptized years after. But she started educate me in the beliefs of the witness since I was a small child. Um, and so my father is not a witness, but is not a oppositor. So, so I was educated in the Jehovah's Witness thing, and start make the things that witness do, knocking on doors, etc.
So, how old were you when you got baptized yourself as a Jehovah's Witness?
I was baptized at 16 years old.
16 years. And your mother was baptized already as well?
No, no, she
Oh,
baptized after.
so your
Yeah,
mother never got baptized, as a matter of fact?
she baptized years after me.
Wow, okay.
Yes,
So she's the one who
yes,
actually
yes,
helped you to get indoctrinated, but you
exactly.
got baptized before her.
Yes,
That's
yes.
interesting.
It's a strange thing, but yes. But she identified herself as a witness as soon as she started to study with witness. Although she didn't baptize, but she lived a life as a witness. Yes, the same thing. We didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't celebrate birthdays, etc.
It's even worse because, really, according to Jehovah's Witnesses' beliefs, she might have been destroyed if Armageddon came around. but,
Yes,
but she was living the
yes,
awful life of a witness anyway.
yes, yes. Very
Incredible.
strange, but it's true.
Yeah, it is true. Wow, that shows how ridiculous the beliefs are because really, officially, she might have been, destroyed, but she
Yes.
was really living uh, even better as a witness than some that are
Yes, yes.
baptized.
But the faith in her were very strong. She is a very open-minded person. She believed in God strongly, and the relationship that she imagined was with God. Uh, First of all, not with the organization. So for her, the baptized as a witness was not so strong desire that to other people. Yes.
She was like the perfect witness. All of them should be like that, not being so attached to an organization, but
Yes.
better
Yes.
attached to whatever they call, even if they want to call him Jehovah, but better attached yet to Jehovah, to God, rather than the
Yes.
organization. We see
Yes.
many witnesses, it's the other way around. I'm not sure they are so much into God, but more into an organization.
Yes. My mother is the other thing, and she teach me that feeling that the relationship is first of all with God, not with man.
Yeah. So she gave you, do you think your mother really gave you a good example as a future elder?
My mother teach me to be a very courageous person about my beliefs. She teach me to stay very firmly strong with the courage to open my heart with other persons about my beliefs and don't be afraid of anything. And she educated me with a strong faith in God. So when I became a ministerial servant and an elder, was not to achieve a gold as a company, but with the desire to help the brothers to to make what is possible to uh, make the things for God. Yes.
That's great. You had a very good background, a good base to be, not to be like a hypocrite that we see in
Yes.
this organization, but a
Yes.
true ministerial servant and a true elder.
Yes. It's this it can explain why when I awake from the manipulation and the 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 things and when I discover the things that were hidden by the organization, pedophilia, etc., etc., I was very shocked. And so as I'm not a hypocritical person, that shake me very, very much. And so I have to leave. Yes.
So, how old were you first when you became ministerial servant? How old were you?
20
So
years old.
you were a very
Yes.
young ministerial servant. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how old were you when
Yes.
you became an elder?
26, 27, I think. Yes.
Okay. So you became an elder very
Yes.
young.
Yes. I was on the um, uh, I don't know the name in English. It's a school to men, um, elders and minister servants, and this school helped me uh, to achieve the stage of elder very very quickly. Yes.
Okay. So did you enjoy being an elder? How did it
Yes,
go?
I enjoyed. I was the 10 years that I was an elder. I was a supervisor of the school that teach the brothers to read better, to talk better, uh, and so yes, I like it. But it was very very intense because um, I had a child at that time, a baby, and it was very difficult to conciliate all the things. My wife was always alone with the child. I almost the time I was on the stage uh, making all the things that was necessary on the congregation, and so it was a little bit difficult. My job is very difficult because I work on the design, graphic design, and so at the time I was very occupied with my job, and so conciliate all the things were a little bit difficult. But I like it. I like it. I make all. I was making all because I love to help the brothers. I love the congregation. I love Jehovah, etc., etc. So it's hard, but it was making with my heart. Yes.
Mm. But having a job and being an elder is like having two
Yes.
jobs, right?
And in my case, it was more difficult because I knew when I start the job, I never knew when the job was finished at the end of the day. Many times I need to stay later on the job, and so it was very difficult. Sometimes I went to the congregation and returned to the job at night because it was complicated. Yes.
Ex-elders, and some of them they said that it was hard to be a
Yes.
father or even a husband
Yeah.
as an elder. Did you
Yes.
feel that way? Yeah.
It's difficult because we have so many things to do on the congregation, and in the job that I have in the congregation, leading the school, it was very very intense. Yes, many work to do.
Yeah. It's interesting because this organization always emphasized the need of being a united family and how it's important to have a strong family. But when you have elders that you prevent them to be really a good father or a good husband because they're never there, because between
Okay.
the job and then being an
It's
elder.
difficult to conciliate. Yes, difficult. It's not easy. Yes.
So what eventually started waking you up?
It was the subject of blood. My oh, yes, when my wife became pregnant, and we had the talks with the doctor, etc. We we were confronted with some informations that make me start to investigate the subject of a blood. So when I start this investigation, I realized that this doctrine is very wrong uh, in all aspects. So that was my click. Yes.
So, but what did you think after that when you realized they were wrong about the blog? What did you think about the organization at that point?
I believe in an organization at that point. I think that subject was wrong. But as soon as I started to investigate other subjects and know about other things like the Watchtower and the UN, etc., I start to see the big picture. So I compare this to a puzzle. Okay, we have one piece, so it's difficult to see all the picture with one piece. But as soon as we can put the piece all together, and we can see that an image is formed, what I see in that image is not pretty. So
No.
it was yeah, yeah, over
Overwhelming, overwhelming.
overwhelming. And when I read the Crisis of Conscience that I have here, when I read that book, so the little faith that I had in the organization collapsed. Yeah, because there I see that this is a man-made organization, pure and simple, as the other ones. It's all man-made organization. Maybe the leaders in this organization and others, maybe they have some good qualities and they have good intentions, but they are misleaded. by themselves with the idea, the false idea that God is using them. So they have that feeling that is wrong, and so they become false prophets to others.
And so basically, you started investigating because of the blood,
Yes,
and because of the blood, then you investigated other things, right?
yes, yes. At the time, I talked with other elders about the subject of blood, the doubts that I have. Members of the CLH, I don't know the term in English, but the elders that talk with doctors on hospitals. Liaison Commission.
Committee liaison.
Yes, yes. So I talked with some of them, making my questions, and what they told to me so was a good question. Maybe you have to ask that to the Watchtower. And so I it was not questions, difficult questions. It was questions um, that they should know.
Should
So
know. Yeah, if they
yes,
belong to that committee, they should know
yes.
the answer. Yeah.
So I became confident that they don't know anything about the blood. They know only what the Watchtower tells
Yes, they just parrots. They don't know
they,
anything.
yes,
They just repeat what they
yes,
have been told, and
yes.
they have not, unlike you,
I
investigated, so they don't know nothing.
one question that I asked was if my wife has a hemorrhage during the pregnancy, during the birth, what the doctors can do? What is the alternatives to to a blood transfusion? And the person that I asked staring at me and Fico,
Oh, no idea.
no idea. So I think, oh my God,
Oh my
if this
goodness.
if this
Oh.
if this happens, it's death because there is nothing beyond the blood transfusion.
Because yeah, they like to sell the fact that there are plenty of other options, like
Yes,
but the thing is when you talk to doctors, they tell you no, it's not true.
true.
Sometimes they have
Sometimes,
other ways to help you, but sometimes there
yeah,
isn't. Sometimes it's really either blood or blood. There's just no
yeah,
other anything else.
yes, and this what it was what I discovered. Yeah,
I've never been bothered by doctrines really, but there was one thing that I remember talking about to my mother at the time is that blood fraction. And I remember telling my
yes,
mother, okay,
yes,
tell me if I'm crazy, but either Jehovah wants zero blood or blood. But what the freak are those fractions about? I remember telling
yes,
her that I do not understand the fraction part. I do not understand.
yes,
It makes no sense to me. But I still was not awake, far from it. But it made no sense to me.
yes. That incoherence make me feel uncomfortable too. Yes, and I don't understand.
Well, what is that fraction conscious thing? I
Yes,
couldn't, yeah, I never understood it. And I thought I was crazy or I was the one who was not normal back then thinking this way. But then when you wake up, you're like, oh no, I was normal. I was the one who was right.
yes, yes. That subject make me uncomfortable too, and see the incoherence on the doctrine. So when the Watchtower has the doctrine of blood that we don't take any blood, for me, okay. But when they start to say you can take this but don't take this, I I think to me, but this and this came from blood. So why I can take this and don't take this? I don't understand. As an elder, I don't understand, and brothers on the congregation didn't understand too.
Okay, you cannot have the whole, poison, but you can have a little bit of it. Well,
Yeah.
do you still want a little bit of poison?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Another thing. Another thing. The Jehovah's Witness benefit from blood from other persons, but they
Yeah,
cannot
that's another thing.
give
Yeah,
blood
you can.
to other persons.
Yeah, you
So,
couldn't have fraction of
so
no blood if nobody gave their blood.
why?
That alone, that I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that one when I was already not lacking this. But when you think of this, it's even worse. Yeah, it's amazing how
It's
those stupid
selfish.
doctrines, we actually swallow them without even thinking, wait a minute, this is really ridiculous. And you have 8 million people just swallowing this.
Yes. And dying for this. The primal thing is the people make decisions of life and death based on this false doctrine.
All the doctrines of Jehovah's Witnesses are
It's
false anyway. Even
criminal.
the shunning.
It's
How
criminal.
many people have committed suicide because they were shunned? And it's also not biblical. And they
Yes.
used to not shun and make fun of the Catholics, for example, who used to
Yes.
practice shunning back in time. That's serious. That's bad. That's as bad as they can make it.
Yes.
Once people lose their life either because of blood or suicide because of shunning, what a shame. They do have blood on their hands. So if one day there is a Jesus that's going to ask them for, they're
Yes.
gonna pay big
Yes.
time.
I believe so.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I believe that those who are
I
really
believe so.
Christian, who are really believing in what the Bible said, they should get out like ASAP. Because according to the Bible itself, it's saying if you're staying there, you're in a bad shape. So, and I'm saying that for those who are watching, who are really still believers, true believers,
Yes.
because I'm not even like a Bible person. I am a believer. I'm not an atheist. I just have my questions about how to understand the Bible. But I have no problem speaking to
Mhm.
those who are really, really Christian and really believing in the Bible. They should get out of there faster than anyone else.
Because in the Jehovah's Witness, the whole life turns around the religion and the rules and the doctrines, etc. So it's difficult to maintain um, a life in the Jehovah's Witness when you start to discover these things. So we have to, yes,
I don't think you can be both because even me, I realized, wow, they're not Christians. I remember I used to work with a Christian guy. He was a friend of mine. We used to work together, and he knew about the Jehovah's Witness a whole lot.
yes,
Actually, he had studied for a while with them. And I remember we had those discussions. Back then, I was already out, but I was still indoctrinated. So I remember we had fights because he used to tell me Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christians. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, no, they are. I used to defend them even though I was gone for years. And I used to say, no, no, they are. They are Christians. And I used to still believe that if there was one true religion, that was this one. I
yes.
was not awake. I was just out, but completely not awake. And then when I was awake, I was like, wow, this guy was so right. Yes, I understand now why he used to tell me. He used to scream to me, those guys are not Christians. I'm telling you. And I used to say, yes, they are. And he was so right.
When you read the New Testament, the apostles and the disciples, the word Jesus was always on their mouths. If you start to use the name Jesus on the Jehovah's Witness, oh, you are evangelical. It's
And still, Jesus was still more, I think, when I was a witness, I left 12 years ago. I think Jesus was still 13 years ago, actually. Jesus was still a little bit there, but I think now it's completely gone.
Jesus on the Jehovah's Witness. It's only necessary to give the power to the governing body. It's always when they use Jesus. Jesus give us the power, or Jesus give us the authority. It's only they when they need Jesus, to give them the power. So the rest, forget it.
And the worst thing is, I remember an ex-elder we used to have a channel. I don't think he does video anymore. And the thing that woke him up, it's an image that the Watchtower had created, and Jesus was not on that image. There was Jehovah, and right after Jehovah, the governing body.
And the literature, and the literature, yes. I, yeah. On the New Bible, the Silver Song, they have many pages, appendices, when they have the names of the face gods, false gods, name of uh, people on the Bible, but they don't have the name Jesus there.
Yeah. So it's the same thing as, on that jw.org site. I made a video not long ago, like 3 weeks ago, because I didn't even know about that, and somebody else brought it to my attention. I said I have to make a video like right now. There is no Jesus. So they have Satan and devil, and they have Christ, but they don't have Jesus. But if they have Satan, they have to have Jesus,
Yes.
because devil would be the equivalent of Christ, but Satan would be the equivalent of Jesus on the other
Yes.
end of the spectrum, of course.
Yes.
But Jesus wasn't there. The word, the name, they had Jacob, they had Judas, they had
Yes.
many J's, but they didn't have Jesus.
On the TV, uh, they have many videos with songs. You don't hear the name Jesus, any of them. Why? They don't.
He's the second in command of the whole thing, supposedly, of the whole organization, and he's never mentioned.
Yes. Very.
And that's completely not normal.
The one thing that I discovered at the time, discover or um, I became aware, it's that the organization teach that Jesus is not our mediator, is only mediator of the 44,000. So when I understand this, I became very surprised because uh, so if Jesus is not our mediator, how can we have the hope of eternal life? There is no eternal life because we have to became under the new pact to have Jesus on as our mediator. So when I understand this, I don't believe this anymore.
So, yeah, according to the governing body, only there,
And
Jesus is only their mediator, right?
yes, only the two anointed people, anointed.
But you know that when you said that to the actual Jehovah's Witnesses,
They
do you know that Jesus is not your
yes,
mediator? They said,
yes.
"Oh, sure he is."
I have
They said, "Yes." Yeah, they believe. And even me, I think I would have said the same thing when I.
they don't understand that what is the real teach of the Watchtower about this. I have a conversation that I had some time ago with that I record on my cell phone. Uh, I I don't uh, I don't didn't say that I was ex Jehovah's Witness, and I start a conversation with them, and so at the end I ask, I want to ask you, Jesus is your mediator? Oh yes, yes, they are. Yes, yeah, and I say, no, he's not the teacher of the Watchtower. No. So what is the teacher of the Watchtower? And so the teacher of the Watchtower, Jesus is the only mediator to anointed people, the 44,000. And they stare at me. They yes, and and then they say, uh, yes, 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 you are right, you're right. I confused myself, etc. They It's very, very
That's
sad.
sad. That's sad because basically the basic Jehovah's Witness can't even read the Bible anymore because it is clear in the Bible that Jesus is the mediator to everyone, and so that means who are you? You're what is it? It's clear in the Bible. It says to each
Yes,
person. So how can you believe just because an organization is telling you no, just us? Just the 144,000, which is this number is not even
yes,
real. Just them, but not the others. And they actually believe it because the thing is, they are so indoctrinated, they can't read the Bible anymore for themselves.
yes.
Just the Bible. And some people have woke up this way by just putting the watchtower away for a while and just reading the Bible.
And there is one more thing. The majority of the Jehovah's Witness don't like to read, don't like to investigate, don't they don't care. They only care what they say and accept. As they say, they accept. They didn't investigate. They didn't read. Uh, it was my fault that I like to read.
Well, it was me too, as a Jehovah's Witness, to tell you the truth. It's probably my brother's case because he's a Jehovah's Witness for over 20 years now and still completely asleep. So unfortunately, it's got to be the case of many. And then next elder that I know here, and I asked him, what made you wake up, even though he's still officially a Jehovah's Witness. And he said, well, I had to stay home to take care of my wife, and I started studying, investigate more. I didn't have time. Same thing, work, being an elder. You don't even have time to look at the Bible.
Yeah,
So he started studying more the Bible and because he had more time, less the publications, just investigate more the Bible and stuff. And that's how he started waking up because he started seeing things. Okay, that's really not in the Bible.
one thing that I discovered when I had to make the speech about memorial that Judas, uh, I don't know the name in English, Judas, Jude, I don't remember. Uh, on the night that Jesus reunited with the disciples, the watchtower tells that disciple leave the room uh, before Jesus start the memorial. When I read the Bible, tells me that is not true. I discovered this. Luke said that
Judas.
Judas, yes, still there when Jesus split the bread and give the wine. Judas was there, and he leave after this. But the Watchtower always says on this. Luke is very specific. Jesus split the bread, give, take the wine, give, and then say the one that is on the table will trade me.
Oh, yes, betray me.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
after.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
after
and another
this,
thing that I discovered
yes,
again once I was awake, as I was waking up, is that true Christians, they don't just pass the bread and the wine. That's actually a satanic I read even a satanic ritual to pass the wine and the
Yes.
bread, meaning I refuse it. But true Christians are supposed to eat the bread and drink the wine. And that's why now some ex Jehovah's Witnesses who are
Yes.
Christians, that's what they do.
Because the partake of the wine and the bread is a symbol of acceptance of the Christ sacrifice. It's not symbol of go to heaven or stay on earth. It's it's only a symbol of accept the sacrifice of Christ. Uh, the years before I left the religion, after the memorial, when I came home, I partake to myself alone.
Before you left.
Yes, many years.
As a matter of fact, I think that some Jehovah's Witnesses who are not anointed do just that. They go home and take the bread and the wine after the memorial.
Yes, yes, I believe. Yes, I read that too. Yes, yes. It's a refuse of the blood and the flesh of Christ. Yes.
So, how long did you stay as an elder once you knew it was all a lie?
I stay as an elder 10 years. During that time, I was investigating and read and um, study the doctrines, the history of the Watchtower, etc. So at the final of 10 years, I renounce of the uh, eldership.
You stepped down as an elder.
Yes, yeah, yes. I, when this happened, when I moved from my house and go to a new house in other territory, and then I say, I don't want to be an elder anymore. I want to relax, to rest, to have time for my family, to myself. I need to stop with this whole thing. I didn't open the game, so start. I keep it to myself that information. But this was steps that was take very slow. I yes, 10 years, 10 years of investigating, read. So when I left, and my wife and my child, at first with the subject of blood, I was talking with her and we talking with each other about the subject. And so gradually she was understanding that were some things that was not quite right. So when we go out with all our heart. So with no doubts. This is not the true religion. So yes, but my wife is still a Jehovah's Witness. So okay, so she is a Jehovah's Witness. Only I dissociate myself when I was invited to a judicial committee. So I went and talked with them, and I dissociate on that meeting. But this religion has so much power over people. They control so much the people that is very difficult. Very, yeah. But I want to go to the meeting. Uh, I was surprised that I wasn't called sooner because my activism um, was very strong. But I make many years activism anonymous. So so since 2006 that I start my blog anonymous. Um, Then in 2011, it was when we fade completely. In 2018, it was my judicial committee. But the years since 2011 to 2018, I made many things on my activism, including interviews on TV, radio recently, but on TV, anonymous, on magazines, etc. I and others. So in Portugal, it's a small country, but we have a strong activism. We have achieved impact on society, exposing the witness very, very strong that in countries with many people, more people and more ex-GWs like Brazil don't uh, don't do it. That don't achieve that kind of activism. So Portugal, we have made many things to expose the watchtower. Yes.
Yeah. So to conclude here, you told me that a big publisher, Penguin Random House, wants you to write a book about your story.
Yes. After I gave an interview on a magazine in Portugal and on the radio, I received a call, asked me about the publisher, about the possibility, yeah, about the possibility of writing a book about my story as ex-GW. So I accept.
So did you start writing your book?
Almost finish.
Wow, almost finished.
Yeah.
That's really, really great. I'm so happy for that.
I hope that the book is released on the next year. The Yes, the first semester of the next year, but only Portuguese first.
Oh, yeah, that's too bad. I
uh,
hope they are going to
I,
translate it in
I'm
English very
asking
soon.
them to make a translation to English.
Yes, that would be great. And as soon as this book comes out in English, I'll be sure to read it.
Okay, I appreciate.
So, how did you find my articles and started translating them into Portuguese?
um, I think on the groups of XJWs, I see your comments, links to your articles. So I go there and read and like it very much. And I after I left the religion, I start university on psychology. Yeah,
Psychology, yes.
yeah. So it's a subject, the mind control, the undue influence, manipulation, etc. It's a subject that matters to me, and I have written many things about that to help others understand the mechanism of the control and manipulation that destructive cults make on people. So when I read your articles, I thought this matter, this subject, is important to translate because it's a kind of information that make the people understand about them, about the experience they live, on their lives, and etc. Yeah. On on psychology, there is a lab of information about destructive cults, mind control, undue influence, manipulation, etc. When I went to the faculty, the university, I I wrote an article about the psychology of destructive cults for one of the chairs. So what I understand there, that the my teachers don't know anything about the subject, and they are psychologists, and they like it very much, the article, and they say that is a kind of information that is not available to on the faculties. It's not a subject.
They have no idea about coming out of a cold.
Yes, yes, yes. But I think that this is kind to change. Uh, there are more investigation about the subject in the recent years.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for having spent the time with me
Thanks for
and
the
sharing your
invitation.
story with my viewers. I'm sure
Okay.
everyone will appreciate your story and understand how even an elder such as yourself can wake up from the indoctrination of this cult.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. I hope that the book will be translated to English. I hope so many people can read about my testimony. I think my testimony is it's not as bad as many others, but as the kind of experience of an elder that was very indoctrinated on the religion and then discovered that this all a scheme. So I hope that helps some yeah.
I think your story will have a lot of weight because you didn't suffer. You were just a regular elder and you found out that you were lied to and you decided to leave this religion. So it should help a lot of people wake up as well.
I hope. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.